What's going on, everybody? Robbie here with Foul Pursuit Outdoors. Today's video, we're going to be shooting a full-length installation of the Decoy Doctor on one of my decoys. I got my brother Aaron behind the camera with me today, so we're going to head on up to the shop right now and get this thing started. So before we jump into installing, we need to check compatibility on our decoys. I pulled out 5 of mine from my arsenal just to show you some other brands that this will fit on. I have a Higdon fully flocked foam-filled mallard, a GHG fully flocked mallard, a Final Approach fully flocked mallard, a Gadwall from Dakota Decoys, and a Cabela's brand wood duck. Start off by printing out your PDF template and make sure that you print it as actual size or the scaling will not be correct. And then confirm that it actually measures 7 inches long and 5 inches wide, and then cut it out. Or with the template cut out, go ahead and make a slit right down here at the bottom so you can fit it around the keel. Start by sliding the template around the front of the keel and make sure there won't be any overhangs on the sides. So far, these 4 decoys appear to be compatible. This right here is a good example of not enough clearance. This template is actually a little bit smaller because I printed it incorrectly. Knowing that this is going to be a little bit longer, I'm going to have too much overhang, so this wood duck is out. I selected the GHG because it's a hollow body decoy and the head turns. Foam-filled decoys will take a little longer to install and they can be messy. Alright, here are all the tools and materials that I'll be using for this installation. I'll have a full list down in the description as well as some non-affiliate Amazon links. So this is what's going to come in the Decoy Doctor kit. All your 3D printed parts are right here. I've got 3 different bags of hardware, your timer, and your electrical connections. I've also included a template to cut out your hole and a tool to help install the adapter ring. The full list to all these parts will be in a link below. So before I cut this off, I want to make a little mark right here, right in the center. And I want to center this up just to ensure that I have enough clearance in the top so that this does not hit the top of the decoy when it's inserted. The minimum height needed is 2.5 inches, but if you're going to put your electrical connections on the top of the box like this, then you want to give yourself about 3 inches. Now we're going to take the multi-tool and cut the keel flush with the bottom. If you don't have a multi-tool, you could always use a hot knife or a utility knife, or get creative. Just be careful not to ruin your decoy. Make sure you're using all the appropriate PPE when using power tools, and when you're applying silicone, make sure you use it in a well-ventilated area. Now I'm going to take a straight edge and line up the centermost point on the front and the back. Sometimes these mold lines will give you a good reference point, but sometimes they may be just off and not reliable. Now I'm going to take the adapter ring, place it on the centermost point of the decoy, and I'm going to line up with that mark that I made earlier, just to make sure that I'm going to have enough clearance on the inside. Now I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to mark the inside of this, the front and the back, and I'll also get the sides. This will help line up your template. Then I'm going to visually check that I do have enough height. Now I'm going to take my template and line up the inside of the template with the marks that we just made. And also line up your holes with the center line that you drew. This looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. Give it a final look over just to make sure that you are in the centermost point of the decoy. Be careful how far forward or how far backward you go. That will determine whether this decoy will tip down or lean up. And also, it may interfere with your clearance on the inside. Now we're going to trace the outside of the template. Now you can remove your template. Now I'm going to take the hot knife and start tracing out this line. Don't try to cut all the way through initially. Start by scoring a fine line so you have a nice guide. You could probably use a jigsaw for this, but I'm going to use a hot knife just so I have a cleaner cut. Alright, now that you got your hole, slide your adapter ring in, make sure it goes all the way in, and make sure you don't have any gaps anywhere around here. Now take your Dremel tool or your sander and clean up these burrs. Look for any raised areas from any of the lettering that's on the bottom and make sure you sand these flat. Also, anywhere where this adapter ring is going to overhang, make sure that these areas get sanded flat as well. It's also a good idea to sand the area that sits directly under the adapter ring so that way you get good adhesion with your silicone. Place your adapter ring back in and then center it back up. Using a 5/32 drill bit, you're going to drill out just one hole. I recommend starting at this top one. Grab a number 832 machine screw from your hardware bag and go ahead and run that through that top hole. Don't worry about washers right now. Doing this will ensure that the adapter ring does not move on you when you continue to drill the rest of your holes out. Do another one on the bottom. Make sure it's lined up. Install another screw in the bottom hole and fasten it down. Now you can drill out the rest of your holes. Remove your hardware and then set that stuff to the side. Now we're going to take some rubbing alcohol and clean these surfaces. Clean the back side of the adapter ring. Now get your paper towels ready because this part can get a little bit messy. You're going to apply your silicone sealant to the inner corner on the bottom side of this adapter ring. Set your adapter ring to the side and go ahead and apply the silicone where the adapter ring is going to seat. Don't be shy with it. I like to use a little extra right here on these seam lines. They seem to be a natural low spot. Now that your silicone's applied, go ahead and insert your adapter ring. Grab your 832 by 3/4 machine screws, add a washer to them, and insert them in each one of these holes. Take your drill or Phillips screwdriver and run these screws all the way down. Run the screws down in a star pattern so the silicone can squeeze out evenly. Now I'm just going to take a paper towel and run around there to knock that silicone off the ends of the hardware. This is when it gets messy. Take the adapter ring installation tool and insert a nut upside down. Then add a washer. Reach into the back side and line it up with the screw. You can use a drill or a Phillips screwdriver for this part, but don't tighten the nut down. Just get the thread started. Now that all the nuts and washers are installed on the back side, we're going to take our 1/4-inch drive with an 11/32 socket, get up in there and tighten these things down in a star pattern. Tighten it down in the order that you see on the screen. This will be the same pattern that we're going to use when we install the cover plate. Now we can remove the excess silicone. Once you get the bulk of it off, put some alcohol on a rag and wipe down all the surfaces. Now that you got the excess cleaned up, take a look between all the hardware. Notice that there's a spot here where it actually has a little bit of a low spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a clamp to that and let that silicone cure. It's also helpful if you add some heat with your heat gun to help soften up this plastic so that way it can get rid of that warp. So now that the hard part's out of the way, we're going to set this to the side and get to assembling our charging cable. Locate the male and female charging cables and the 2 solder seal connections. Go ahead and prep your ends and then we'll assemble them together. Take your solder seal connection and slide it over the ends of the wires. If you haven't used these before, start by melting the 2 seals at the end and the outer part here. Melt the solder last. If you don't have one of these torches, you can just use a heat gun. So I'll apply heat to one side and then alternate it. You'll see the outer shell starting to shrink. That red seal is starting to melt. Move on to the other side. Now apply heat to the center and let that solder go into the wires. Go ahead and repeat the process for the other wire. Go ahead and thread the nut off and slide it all the way over the end. Set that to the side. Now we need to find an area to install our charging port. The great thing about a DIY option is that this is completely up to you where you want to put it. But you need to make sure you choose an area that is flat, so that way you have a nice contact surface underneath the flange here. And since this is black, I want to locate it on something dark, not something light, so it doesn't stand out. I'm going to install mine on the side of the tail coming out just like this on the flattest spot that I can find. Give yourself enough clearance from any edges. Then start with the small pilot hole, gradually stepping up to 7/16. Then knock the burrs off the hole. Now insert the charging port to test fit the hole. If it's a good fit, pop it back out and apply some silicone around the top outer edge. Then seat it back down. Take the nut that you set aside earlier and slide it over the male end and tighten it up on the inside. Now you can clean up the excess silicone. If you're using a fully flocked decoy, be careful putting alcohol on it because it may remove the paint. Alright, so at this point we're done with the decoy. Wait 24 hours for the silicone to cure before putting it in the water. Now we're going to prep the cover plate. Grab your cable gland fitting and remove the nut. You don't need it, but leave the rubber washer. Grab the waterproof switch, unthread the cap, and take the washer off. On the back side of the cover plate, there's a recessed area for the switch to press into. Drop your switch in and give it a firm press. Install the rubber washer and the cap on the other side and make sure you don't cross thread it. Tighten it down until you see the washer just barely start to squeeze out of the bottom. Thread the cable gland in on the same side as the push button. You don't need to add any sealant here because you've got this washer, but if you want to add some pipe dope or something, feel free to. Tighten the cable gland down with a 3/4-inch wrench. Keep going until you see the rubber washer just barely start to squeeze out, but don't overdo it. Remove the cap from the cable gland and pull out the grommet with a pair of pliers. Just grab the edge, twist it gently, and pull it out. But be careful not to break the tabs. The 2-hole grommet will slide down in here, but before we do that, we need to run our wires through it. Alright, your bilge pump is going to come with a lot of excess leads on it. Grab your tape measure and put it up to the side here and cut your wires exactly at 2 inches. You don't want to cut them too long or else you're going to have a lot of cable hanging off, and if you go too short, you may not have enough room to bend this around when you go to connect it. Take that excess wire you cut from your bilge pump and go ahead and strip off a 1/4 inch from each end. This is 16 gauge wire. So now we're going to install this part of the waterproof connector on the excess leads that came off the bilge pump. And they should have the female fitting, looks like this, and that goes with this part of the connector. Take one of the yellow grommets with the narrow side facing out and slide it over the wire. Now you can take the female connector, put it on the end, and this tab is going to cover up that part of the yellow grommet. The crimpers that I'm using come with different dies, and we're going to be using the one with the letter D on it. Using the 16 gauge slot, we're going to go ahead and crimp this terminal on. That's what it should look like. Then repeat the process on the other wire. If you don't have these crimpers, you can just use this style right here. Just use this little notch that you see. Just be careful that when you get to the female end that you do not bend this tab down. This is what's going to help lock it into the connector. On the male end, you don't have anything to worry about. You're actually going to crimp both ends of this down. With the connector in this orientation, look down in the center and you'll see these little tabs. Those are going to lock in right there at this part of the connector. Take your brown wire, you're going to go into slot number 2, press it up in there. You should hear a click, and then when you pull back, it should be really tight. Do the same thing with your black wire. That goes into slot number 1. So now you have your pigtail. Take this retaining clip and insert it right into the end, just like that. All right, so on the other end of the pigtail, take your cap for your cable gland fitting, slide it onto the wires. Now we're gonna slide the wires through the 2-hole grommet. Once you get the wire to pass through, grab some pliers, pull the wire all the way through it. Use some petroleum jelly for lubrication if you need it. Take your cover plate, pass the wires through the cable gland fitting, and use this edge of the grommet to open up these fins and gently push it in. Careful not to break them. It should lock in. Go ahead and slide your cap all the way down. Don't tighten it all the way, but you can start to thread it on. And now you can pull all this excess wire through. To install the other end of the waterproof connector onto the bilge pump, you're going to use the male pins here. They're going to go on just like the female ones did for the other side. Make sure they're orientated in a flat position. Then crimp them on. Repeat the process for the other side. With this tab facing up, go ahead and slide the black wire into slot number 1 and the brown wire into slot number 2. Look up through this direction to make sure that the pins pass through the holes correctly. Push them all the way in until they lock. Now we're going to assemble the battery system. So we got the battery box here. It has 3 tabs on the bottom and they line up with the 3 recessed slots on the back side of this cover plate. Take your battery. You'll notice that the leads come out of this end and I ran them across here and just put a piece of electrical tape to hold them in place. You can take those leads and push them through the hole on the other side of this battery box and then seat it in there. You notice I also went ahead and installed the M3 screws on each side of this tab to make it easier when you go to put it on. The tabs will help hold the battery box into place, and all you got to do, get your Phillips screwdriver and run these screws down. Now it's time to wire everything up. Take your timer out of the package and discard the rest of the connectors that come with it. You won't be needing them. The white and green wires are for programming, so you can just fold those back for now. We'll be working with the yellow, red, and black. When you purchase your battery through Amazon, be sure to get the one with bare leads because it will come with one of these 4-way lever connectors. Take the positive lead from the battery and insert it on one side. Then take one of the leads from the switch and install it on the opposite side. Install the red wire from the timer on the same side as the positive battery lead. Then install the other lead from the switch across from that. The orange and blue levers indicate separate circuits. Now we're going to shorten up the pigtail coming through the cable gland. Use the length of the ground wire coming from the battery to determine where to cut it. It's okay if it's a little long, just don't make it too short. Go ahead and strip the ends of the pigtail. Grab the 3-hole lever connector and connect the grounds from the pump, pigtail, timer, and battery. Take the remaining 2-hole lever connector and connect the yellow wire from the timer and the brown wire from the pump pigtail. Now get some cable ties or electrical tape and tidy up all your wires. When you go to secure your timer, cut the ends of the white and green wires so that there is no exposed copper. If these 2 wires touch when power is applied, it will reset the programming. Take the M4x8 screw that has a built-in lock and flat washer and use it to install your bilge pump strainer basket. The strainer basket can only be installed in one direction. Just line up the holes with the mounting points on the cover plate and tighten it down. Be careful not to over tighten it. You can now install your bilge pump and connect the wires. Pull the slack through the cable gland, ensuring there are no hard bends in the wires. Now you can tighten down the cap on the gland fitting. Do not over tighten this either. The electrical assembly is now complete and it should look like this when you're done. To complete the assembly, add a fair amount of petroleum jelly to both sides of the gasket and place it onto the adapter ring. The petroleum jelly will help maintain a seal and keep the gasket from dry rotting. Next, pass the charging cable through the hole and connect it to your electrical assembly. Drop the assembly in place and locate the 8 M4x14 screws and washers. Now you're going to run each screw down with the Phillips head screwdriver until it touches the plate without applying pressure. I didn't show this in the video, but you should add some anti-seize compound to the threads of all your hardware. Now we're going to seat the cover plate using the same tightening sequence as we did on the adapter ring. Starting here at number 1, down to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You're going to need to repeat this a few times, tightening it down a quarter of a turn each time you go around until it's snug. But do not over tighten this. Too much tension on the bolts can cause the brass nut inserts to pull out of the plastic. If this ends up happening, you can take the end of a soldering iron and heat up the brass insert and press it back down into the plastic. So get you some PVC fittings from your hardware store. These are 1/2-inch 45s, the short piece of PVC pipe in there, and then this part is approximately about 1 1/8 inch sticking out from the face. I have a piece of 5/8 tubing, 5/8 OD, that's about 4.5 inches long. You can go ahead and press this right in, and now you can spin this wherever. So if you got a curve to it, you can kind of direct your flow. You want it to come up and out of the water or make it turn really hard, you can put that however you want to do it. Now we're going to assemble the discharge fittings onto the bilge pump. Take your pump outlet sleeve, slide it on the end, take the other end, and press this on. Now take your bilge pump, go ahead and mount it into place. Connect your wire, and now line up your PVC fittings on the back. That way it goes right down the center line. And again, you can adjust this and turn it however you want to do it. So a couple things you want to do before putting this into service: get you some Oxguard or some dielectric grease and add it to your connections here, just an extra layer of protection, and then also add it to the charging port. There you go, folks. You just gave life to your decoys with the Decoy Doctor. All right, y'all, moment of truth. Let's test the thing out. How this thing sounds. Love the splashing sound you get from this thing. The Seaflow brand pump just runs a lot quieter than the other ones. That's gonna kill some ducks. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up today's tutorial video on the Decoy Doctor installation. Hopefully you liked it. If you want to get one of these yourself, send me an email, biskitbuilt3d@gmail.com. I'll answer any questions that you have. Please like and subscribe to support the channel so we can continue to bring you some more DIY content. Thanks again. That's a good boy.